Good morning to everyone. Good afternoon, wherever you are. You are, I know, in the awesome planet. And today we have another awesome person. And it just so happens that he's my kababayan here in Houston. We are both based here. So good evening here and good evening to our guest and to all of you out there. We have another amazing story and another awesome story of a foodie, and he's very active in organizing food events here in in Texas. And what's more important is we're going to pick his brain and his history, his culinary DNA of what it is like to be a Phil-Am, and learning or knowing or deepening your one's knowledge about Filipino food. Without any more talking from me, I would like you to meet Mr. Gene Carangal of San Antonio, Texas. Hi, Gene.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Nancy, for putting me on here.
Yeah. So, how's the weather out there in San Antonio?
Right now it's 81 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's not too bad. It goes down to about 70s. It's very comfortable, very nice weather.
Okay.
It's better than the summer weather when it's over 100 degrees.
Yeah. Well, your people sometimes they don't know that Texas can be fiery hot, and but yes, the it will start. The weather will start getting cool. But before anything, Jean, were you born in the Philippines or were you born already here in Texas?
So actually, I was born in Minneapolis, Minnesota, but
Okay.
but when I was less than 1 year old, we went to back to the Philippines. I grew up in the Philippines. I grew up in Los Baños, Laguna. You were where UP Los Baños is. So I
Okay.
grew up there. I went to grade school and I went to my first 2 years of high school in it's called UP Rural High School in Los
Okay.
Baños. And then we went to the United States. My father um, was taking a sabbatical from his job, so he started teaching at North Carolina State uh,
Hmm.
in
Hmm.
North Carolina.
Yep.
Uh, and then so we were there for a year, and then and that was my third year of high school. So my father asked me what I wanted to do for college. I said, well, I'm thinking maybe computer science. I said, well, why don't you, he just asked me, why don't you just stay here in the United States? So I stayed in Chicago, finished my
Hmm.
last year of high school in Chicago. And then I went to University of Illinois at Chicago for my undergrad. And after that, I started working for a marketing research firm. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and I was there for about 10 years. Then I met my bride, and we got married, and we she actually started working here in Texas, actually South Texas, in McAllen, Texas, and we decided, okay, to move to Texas.
Why?
So
Why
yeah,
did
we've
you?
been in
Why,
Texas ever since.
why did you decide to move to Texas?
Well, my wife was she's a pediatrician, but she was not a U.S. citizen at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So she finished her resident. She was going through medical residency as a pediatrician, and when she finished her residency, she could either go back to the Philippines or go to an underserved community.
Uh-huh.
And there was an underserved community in South Texas. She decided to stay here, and I decided to just follow suit, and I've been a Texan ever since.
It's nice from from Los Baños to North Carolina to Chicago, and then it's almost like a roundabout, right?
Yep, yep. So it's very. These are very different places. There's about as different as they can be from each other.
So, how would you consider yourself? What percentage of Filipino is left in you?
Oh, I think there's. I've never been asked that. I'd like to think 100%, but but a lot of people, I think a lot of my friends would beg to differ because they say I'm very Americanized. I
Yeah.
think so what I'd like to think is I am by blood Filipino, but I try to get the best of both cultures.
Well, when they say when we talk to some they say the safe answer would be 50-50,
Yeah,
which is fine. And there's nothing wrong with not being 100%
sure.
Filipino, because
Yep.
you really are not. You were born here, and then but you spent time in the Philippines, and then you're back here. And your wife is also Filipino,
Yes, she is.
and you're okay. So do you speak Tagalog in your house, or
Oh,
and
absolutely.
oh,
Yep,
all right.
that's all we speak. And then let me tell you a funny story
Okay.
about my wife.
You
We
know her name.
actually, I'm
Mention
sorry,
her
what?
name. Huh?
Oh, her name's May,
M-A.
May, May Hayes.
M-A-Y. Hi,
Yep,
Dr. May.
yeah, she's right over
Well,
there.
come on, show yourself. Show yourself.
May, she doesn't want to go in front of the camera.
Okay.
Okay, so a funny story. We actually were next door neighbors in the Philippines, but we only formally met when she was doing her residency in Chicago.
Really? Well,
And she
because
was
you're both
actually,
from Los Baños.
yeah, we were like, I don't know, like 30 feet apart. Our houses were like 30 feet apart, but we knew of each other, but we never really formally met.
Okay.
And um, so we only really met when she was doing her residency in Chicago. And even then, she wasn't supposed to go to Chicago. She was supposed to go. That wasn't her first choice for residency. She was supposed to go to North Carolina, but
Okay.
she sent an application to go for residency, and she she sent it to through FedEx and never got there. So she was scrambling, and she was like, she had a deadline and trying to figure out where she can go for residency. So a distant second choice was Chicago.
And then?
So and then that's why I told everybody at our 25th wedding anniversary that our marriage was based on a mistake by FedEx.
That's nice. Does she consider well? Does she consider that true? Also, sometimes husband wife they have their own versions.
She has her own version. I have my own.
All right. So, kids already?
We were unfortunately not blessed with kids, but she's a pediatrician, so she sees kids all
Yeah.
day.
Okay. All right. So, okay, before we go into your American side, what do you remember from the Los Baños? Of course, there's the cow's milk, the
Yep.
carabao milk, the coconut pie, buko pie.
Buko pie. Yeah, the original buko pie. It's um, my fondest memories of the Philippines is when my mom would make barbecue. And it was like it wasn't a grill. Like they actually made the grill with like using it was like a cement grill with grill grates. And I still remember that. And
Mm-hmm.
I would just that's all my best memories. It's just smelling the food.
Chicken or pork,
It's typically pork.
and with lots of fat or not?
So not really, because they know I didn't when I was younger, I didn't like to eat the fat like at all. I would just take out the fat.
All right.
Uh, it's a different story now. I like the fat. I like to
Wow.
cook.
Okay. All right. So that's what you remember from Los Baños.
Yeah, I really remember it's all I can remember is the food. I remember the smell of the food. I remember like you walking home, like walking home from like a friend's house, and you smell like these fire, like people barbecuing, people like street vendors, and you smell this wonderful food,
Yeah,
and it just stays with you. And that's like my best memories is of the street food.
that's the
Yep,
caramel burning.
yep.
Yeah, and do you have that here, back here in Texas?
No, so Filipino food is really not very popular here in San Antonio. Um,
Mm-hmm.
there's a there's an I think there's a lot of Filipinos here, but we're all spread out. So there's not really like Filipino communities that are like centric. Like, hey, this is there's like we don't have Filipino town here in San
Sorry.
Antonio. We don't have Filipino town in San Antonio. I know you have that.
Um,
And you have something like that in Houston,
yes.
definitely in LA, but nothing like that in San Antonio.
All right. Okay. Well, anyway, some people might not know what San Antonio is famous for.
Well, San Antonio is famous for the Alamo,
Uh huh.
and also San Antonio is very famous for what they call puffy tacos.
What? Puppy tacos?
Puffy tacos. They're like tacos where the taco shells are deep fried and they
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
okay. So Nancy, you need to I need you to take you to a place that has puffy tacos.
Okay. Well,
And
actually, in the Philippines, they do serve puffy tacos shell, make and then make it into a salad bowl. Is that the way it
okay,
is? Yeah.
no, that's like a tortilla bowl, and the puffy tacos is actually uh, it's kind of like fluffy like a pillow, puffy like a pillow. So it really puffs up. It's not just fried. So there's a lot of air inside.
All right. Okay. So, just like you, who was born here in Texas, in the United States, grew up somewhat in the Philippines. You had your growing history there, and then back here. But let's talk about Phil-Ams here. I'm noticing that the young ones who are not yet married, you're 25 years married already, but
Yes.
sometimes I get to meet those who are in their 20s. I guess how old are you? You're in your 30s.
Me? I'm 56.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
you don't look it, and you look like Jackie Chan. I will say that
Okay,
again.
I'll take that as a compliment, I guess. Thank you.
Yeah, but these kids who are 20s, they are so hungry for more knowledge about Filipino food.
Mhm.
They know sisig, they know lumpia, they know okoy. They have a way of saying it also. They know adobo, of course, but not really that deep yet, right? And
Right.
I was trying to wonder why. Why do you think that or okay, why would you say that there's now so much hunger for knowing more about Filipino cuisine, the way it is in the Philippines?
I think that maybe it's as okay, I think there's going to be a generalization, and I was thinking about this before, but I think nowadays people are looking for their identity about for their culture, right?
Okay.
Because before, I mean, when we were here, when I first got here, um, we were kind of forced to assimilate. So we had to eat American food. We had to just get along with everyone and just we had to kind of hide our identity to relate to other people,
Okay.
and we did that for a while. And I think now are people of color are starting to to just come out and try and then express themselves. And they're tired of suppressing their culture. They're tired of not being who they are. And I think that's a wonderful thing about the young people is that now they have that, like you said, they have that thirst. They
Mm-hmm.
want to know more about where they came from. And then they want to feel proud of where they came from.
Okay.
And that is a wonderful thing.
I think that kind of curiosity or thirst is happening globally because also in another case, like the OFWs who work as professionals or housekeepers in other countries like Arabia, in Asian countries, and even and here professionals like medical professionals, um, they they have this yearning to express their Filipino ness,
Mm.
right?
Yeah,
And so it's happening now. See, there's, as you said, there's so much curiosity and not anymore feeling that you have to assimilate, but expressing yourself now, which
right.
is good. And it just so happens that it's is it still Phil American month?
It's Philippine American History Month.
Yeah. So okay. So how much of history do the kids now, not you anymore, but the younger ones who were never really exposed into Philippine history or Philippine culinary culture?
I can't speak for the young people. I think that they're curious, but they don't. Oh my goodness, I think they're curious, and
Yeah.
it's up to us to teach them. It's up to us to to tell them stories about how it was before, because they really can't relate, right? It's really hard for them to relate because they grew up, just surrounded by American culture. Is going to be it feels like it's very hard for them, but I think they're trying, right? They're trying to define their own identity. They're trying to find out about their culture, um, but I think that maybe they don't know where to turn to, so they
Well,
just they just grasp at anything that comes to them, anything that comes to mind.
now
Um,
actually, Jean, they do have a source, and that's YouTube and the internet, Instagram,
that's
and
true.
all that.
Sure.
Some of them said they'd rather learn it from them than to hear the stories of their parents because their parents say it, have their own very personal stories. Maybe what they like is a general knowledge first, and then later on they can go, into
Mhm.
more detail,
Sure.
right?
Yeah,
But
that makes sense.
okay, how is that Filipino American month? Is that only here in Texas or is that U.S.?
No, no, I think it's nationwide. I think it's been around for like 30 years. I believe it began in 1991.
Okay, who do we thank for that?
There is there's a cultural group, and it kind of escapes me. I need to look it up. But I remember it was from what I read, it was in the early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a difference between it's History Month because it's not Heritage Month, and people get that confused. So, so that's why you really should be Philippine history about history before the Spaniards came, history after the Spaniards came, history after the Americans came, and really try to spend that month just learning about the Philippines from its inception till to today. I know that's very challenging,
Yeah.
and I wish I had the time to really immerse myself in the culture, in the history. But um, October is so busy with all the activities going on because it seems like all the Filipino organizations just do a lot of their events in October.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah, I think so. That's true. All right. So probably, I hope some of the food historians are listening now, and if they could be more active or like publish their books. We have several food historians who are well respected, but I'm sure they're also just as busy trying to write more or research more, like Feliz Santa Maria, and there was once we had Doreen Fernandez and several groups of people who tried to dig into the who have really dug into the Spanish colonial culture, which we are. Um, not 50-50, but we still have that Spanish colonial blood in us, right?
Right.
I don't know if you guys feel it still, but we have a lot of Mexican words that are the same.
Yep.
And when I get to talk to some feel young ones, young adults, they're surprised that, hey, really, those words are Mexican. Yeah, but they're also like cocina, casa, silla, mesa, zapatillas, cerveza, and all these things, and they get surprised. So I was thinking maybe now this is a time for awareness for them. And now we're going to talk about your plans. How long have you been trying to um, produce these events that will create more interest?
It's been 3 years. Is because I started and this is the Adobo Throwdown. Um, it started out as with a different name. I can't mention that name because it's copyrighted. So I had to change it. And then when we started out, it was just a very small competition, and it was free. It was supposed to be like 10 competitors for it's a double cooking competition. So I 10 people signed up to cook, but only like five showed up, and then there were like 50 people total, and it was very informal, devoting and people. It was people's choice, so we gave everybody tokens,
Uh-huh.
and they would take samples of the adobo, and then they would put a token in and the one that they liked, and then we'd count the tokens, and that would be the winner. And that was basically it. And I did a little presentation about it's like just a very brief history of adobo and the various um, styles of adobo, because there's many different styles, right? So it's not just your chicken and pork adobo.
Yep.
There's adobo sa puti, which is I guess the original adobo, right?
Yeah.
And that is the adobo without the soy sauce, because
Mhm.
the soy sauce was introduced when we started trading with China, right? And before that, we didn't have soy sauce, so
Uh-huh.
it was vinegar and salt. And that was it, and that was done to preserve the meat,
It
right?
was actually a, I can't say close relative. It might even have been paksiw.
Yep,
Paksiw, yeah,
yeah,
is the word
that
that
makes sense.
with vinegar. But paksiw would usually involve vinegar and water
Mm,
or a broth. So
yep.
it would be more like more soupy, unlike cooking meat or anything purely out of vinegar that would already move towards the adobo end. Yeah.
And then the epoxy, did that have the sugar? Like that's an important component in today's paksiw. But when they started out, did they put sugar in paksiw?
No,
No.
no.
Okay.
You put ginger, and then when it has boiled and boiled over, and the vinegar smell has already evaporated, you can add in eggplant, ampalaya. You know ampalaya?
Oh yeah, that's my favorite. I
Really?
grew up with ampalaya. Yep. When I was growing up, I would always have ampalaya before. It was a to me it was an acquired taste when I was younger, and now I can't be without it. I love ampalaya.
You should
Uh,
plant it. It grows
yeah,
well.
actually, my wife does have a little garden, and she has a nice ampalaya that I would just cut up and make into pinakbet.
Yeah,
And there's some where I would just stir fry it with some eggs and called the ginisang ampalaya.
yeah.
And then there's some where I would make you know how you have ampalaya con carne.
Mm.
I made ampalaya con wagyu.
Oh wow,
So yeah,
that's good.
it's
Yeah. You can try ampalaya leaves also. Make it into a tea,
mhm.
and it's very good for cleansing the stomach. When you think you've eaten a lot of fat, then
Okay.
then you punish yourself with ampalaya tea.
Okay, that sounds horrible.
Okay. So as I was saying, there would you say there would be a need for I've always had this dream to bring in Filipino writers to where these young ones would need to hear a
Mhm.
real first human being Filipino talk about their research on Filipino history, culinary DNA. Yeah.
All right.
Maybe
Yeah,
that can happen in your time or with your projects, right?
sure, absolutely. Uh, I I think that is presenting that kind of culinary information, that kind of education. Uh, that would be like long term. I I welcome more like cooking demos and even lectures and
Yeah.
even presentations like that. I
Mhm.
think that would be a very welcome addition to the Adobo Throwdown.
All right. Yeah, you can expand your Adobo Throwdown to Adobo up down,
Yeah.
upload or
Okay.
level up.
Yeah. Well, it's because right now it's just one day. So actually, and it hasn't happened yet. So it's happening in a little bit more than a week. Uh, but the plan is to have it as an annual event and actually make it a 2 day event next year.
Okay. Well, we actually have somebody who's greeting or listening, Marjet Petilla Polistico, and she's married to somebody who has done a very, very extensive dictionary or compendium of Filipino terms. He should be here. And then Rose, it says here, thanks, Doc.
Oh,
Thanks, Doc.
okay. Cool. You're
I
welcome.
I don't know. I don't know that maybe they them.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. So now when more about events like this, like okay, Jokoy, right?
Uh,
So things about Filipino culture here, Jokoy, and your adobo throwdown, and like here we had an adobo hoedown, and uh, bands also coming in. So all these influx of Filipino, do you think that we are moving forward?
I I believe so. I mean, I think that we're getting a lot more attention now. Um, our food is getting attention. You see ube, right, being featured in Trader Joe's. You see ube waffles. You see that on Instagram.
The pandesal.
Ube pandesal. So is our culture becoming more mainstream? Yes, I believe so. Is it happening fast enough? I don't think so. I think we could do better. I think that there's more. I think we're able to show more. I think we as a culture, and especially our food, we are extremely underrated because they don't know about us.
Mhm.
And it is up to us. It is up to, I believe it is up to us Filipinos to set a good example, to be great ambassadors of our culture and encourage others, right? Show off our food to others. Um, be like I said about being ambassadors, you have to project a positive image about our culture, our food.
A
Um,
prettier image also.
yeah, yeah, and then we have to help each other. We have to we have to promote Filipino businesses. We have to go to the restaurants, eat at the restaurants, and go to the businesses and support the Filipino businesses. Even though we shouldn't be going. It's like, well, I could make that. I can make that food better at home, or my mom makes a better adobo, so I'll just eat at home. And I'm like,
How can you take that out?
yeah,
How can we take that syndrome out?
okay. So I think that people have to realize that it is not about going to a restaurant and itemizing the costs and trying to figure out is that good for you. What we need to do as a people
Mhm.
is to go to a restaurant and support them because
Yes.
in the long run, even though it's a little bit more expensive, it's going to be more expensive.
Yeah.
But it's not about getting the best deal. It is about supporting each other. And if we do not support each other, nobody will. If you
Okay.
see other cultures, that's what they do.
Yeah.
Is that they embrace, they embrace each other, and then they lift each other up. And we seem to have, and we have this negative, crab mentality label that's been thrust upon us. But there's some truth in that, right? We bring other people. We have a tendency to bring other people down, and
Yeah.
that has to stop.
Yeah. Well, it's less now.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think this,
that is.
this new generation has a more global outlook, so they don't look down on what's there, no, this one is so greasy and all that. They have a more global outlook, so when they have a global outlook, they see, here's the Philippines, and here's Thailand food, and here's Japanese food. Hey, we have to move it up.
Yep, that's
And
exactly. Yep.
yeah, but as long as, I hope, Filipino restaurants will really clean up their place and their dishes. I mean, sorry, but I cannot be a purist anymore. Like saying you gotta eat Filipino food the way it was served, greasy with lots of oil and brown and all that. No, it has to be a little, move a little to the center and say, we can make it look better. We can make it, present it more nicely.
Yep.
We can make it less greasy. We can use olive oil or coconut oil, or we can even serve it with bread, not rice, or with a mash with potatoes, not rice all the time. So
Mhm.
not so pure, right?
Right.
Eh,
I think you've touched on what is the. I think I believe one of the biggest factors that's preventing Filipino food from becoming mainstream is because traditionally it does not present well. It's brown, like you said, it's brown and oily. It's served family style. It tastes awesome, but it looks horrible.
mhm.
I mean, it's. I know it can hurt to say that, but what we need to do is we need to work on our presentation because people will eat with their eyes first,
Yes.
right? So we work on presentation, and that is why the focus for the Adobo Throwdown and the cooking competition is not about what is most original, what is most authentic. It's not
Yeah.
about that. It's about elevating Filipino cuisine. So taste is 50%. So
Uh-huh.
taste 50%, but creativity is 25%, and then presentation is 25%. So you get points on presentation.
Mhm.
Now, it's not all presentation. It can't be just a hollow presentation. Your taste still is still the biggest part, but we have to pay attention on how we present the food,
Yeah.
how, how people perceive our food is really important. I
Okay.
want, and this is my dream, and I'm gonna go blurt this out right now. My dream is to have Filipino food to be part of that decision tree when somebody who's not Filipino is thinking, all right, what should we have for dinner? Do you want Japanese or Filipino? Do you want pizza or pancit? That's the conversation that I would like non-Filipinos to have in the future, where we
Mhm.
are not that our food is better, but our food is just as good as other
Why
food.
don't you replicate Adobo Throwdown all over the United States?
That's more of a 10-year plan. That is actually so. I don't want to sound too ambitious, but um, I am playing the long game.
Uh-huh.
The what everything I'm doing for this year for the contest is going to go on next week. That is for next year. That is
Okay.
preparation for next year.
All
Okay,
right.
and the one for next year is preparation for the year after that in a different city.
All right. One of the magnets in making a Filipino event successful is to put foreigners in it and make them also cook the right way, or or make them taste adobo. I got some desperate frantic post about a certain newscaster in New York who did an adobo with so many other things that he added, like
Yeah, Jeff Zakarian, right? Jeffrey Zakarian. Yeah, I saw what he
I
did.
don't know him. Yeah,
But yeah, he's a Iron Chef. He is on the Food Network a lot, and he got a lot of grief for that. It's a very non-traditional. So I have a different take on that.
yeah,
So I don't. I mean, me personally, I don't mind when somebody who is not Filipino takes our food and it makes it their own style.
that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine because how can I be upset at somebody who does that when we take Italian food like pasta and we use banana ketchup and we put hot dogs in it? Like, how could we be upset when people take our food and make it their own when we do the same thing? We do the same thing with hamburgers. We do the same thing with. So we take other cultures. I mean, that's the whole Filipino food is fusion food. So we take from other cultures.
Yeah, well,
Right?
that's why I think Anthony Bourdain hit it right when he was there. He was on Filipino soil, and he ate his way through lechon and all the other foods, you know. And Zimmern was there. In fact, Zimmern interviewed me about adobo and so many other new. Martha Stewart was there too, you know. And there's now more. What I can't say celeb. All right, I have to say celebrities who helped push push us up. And
Yep.
I think we're really there. It's just that when we approach Philams, we want to tell them like eventually adobo will be as popular as the hamburger you want to eat, and it's going to be in very mainstream,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah. So,
So
but we've been saying that for a while. We've been saying that for almost 10
for how
years.
long?
Almost 10 years. So Zimmerman's been saying that for at least 7 years. Bourdain's been saying that for almost 10.
Yeah.
I think it depends on us. So here I have an idea.
What?
Um, why don't we take it upon ourselves to introduce others to our food? Like let's say I did this one time and I had to stop doing it because of COVID. I took somebody who had never had Filipino food before. I said, "Why don't you come with me? I'm going to take you to a Filipino restaurant. I'm going to pay for
Mm-hmm.
everything."
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then see what they think. And so you're introducing somebody who's never had it. So it could be like a wonderful reaction, or it could be eye opening. But at least, like, hey, I did my part. I introduced somebody who never ever who didn't have any reason to have it. Like it's not part of their um, it was never part of
Of their
the decisions.
menu.
Yeah, it's not one of their first choices, but nobody ever took them. So I'll take you.
Okay.
So if we do that, and it may seem extravagant if you do that to one person a month. So you're buying 12 dinners a year. That could get expensive, but it's a commitment. So I think I'm going to commit back to that. I had to stop because of COVID,
Uh,
um, but I am going to commit myself
Actually,
starting
that's what I
next month.
do. That's what I do, Jean. I do cooking classes and I teach adobo. But I saw Anton there, and I think it's time for us to review your photos.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I
We
don't
need
know if
to,
I picked the right. So you
yeah,
guys just said pick anything. So all right.
to continue on with your stories.
Okay.
Right, let me see. Going back to all right. Okay, I can't see your bride too well, but
Yeah.
you look so in love. Yes. What was
Yeah.
this?
So this was actually our 25th wedding anniversary. It was a renewal, and
Uh,
it just happened back in. It was just this year in May.
uh-huh.
May 21st was our
Hmm.
25th 25th wedding anniversary.
Is that common with Filipino couples or Phil-Am couples or just couples?
What do you mean, the
For
wedding
you,
renewal?
for you to do your 25th renewal. Is that
Um,
done?
I don't know if it's that common. Um, but the reason why I did it was because my parents did it on their
Oh,
25th.
oh, very
And
nice.
I said, you know what? I told May when we first got married, it's like, hey, that'd be a great milestone to reach.
That's nice. Okay. I think we have more.
So this one is actually this is my parents' 25th wedding
Ah,
anniversary. This is their vow renewal.
here in the United.
This no, actually, this was in Los Baños. This
Oh,
was yeah, because my at the time my dad was still living in Los Baños, and so was my mom, and I was just finishing up school.
what was he doing there in Los Baños?
So he used to work for the for Erie International Rice Research Institute. It's an American-based company,
Uh-huh.
but he's basically a rice scientist.
Oh,
Do you ever hear of Masagana 99?
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
he was the architect of that. That was his program.
Oh, we have to interview him. That's very important now because the president is into deep into
Yeah.
agriculture and
Well, yeah,
produce rice.
unfortunately, he has passed. He passed in 2017.
Oh, all right. Well,
Yeah.
he would be considered a hero farmer. A rice farmer.
Yep.
Good.
Well, he's my personal hero. So yeah,
Yeah, mine too. For to do that masagana rice.
yeah.
All right,
So
who's this? You.
this is me uh, serving ice cream. I make homemade ice cream.
You do?
Yes. Yep. I discovered that hey, because it's not really not that hard. This is me making homemade ice cream for a Halloween party that we were having at my wife and I used to have a pediatric clinic. So
Uh-huh.
Halloween used to be our holiday because that's like the anniversary of when the clinic started. So we would always throw the biggest Halloween parties, and I would make like 30 gallons of ice cream, and I had to make them like two a day. So it would make it like 3 weeks to make enough ice cream to serve the crowd. And I would always run out of ice cream.
Like what
And
flavors?
so of course, the regular chocolate and vanilla, but then I'll make coffee ice cream. I'll make cheesecake ice cream, chocolate cheesecake ice cream. I will make now. That's for the kids. I also make adult ice cream. So they have ice cream with bourbon, ice cream with Kahlua, limoncello. Those go over very well. But that's for a different type of party.
Well, we're also going to have one of these days a guest. He's Chef Marquez. He's French, but he's based here in Houston, and he made one time. He said he did a sinigang ice cream.
Wow. So like it's a sour ice cream.
It could
Um,
be, that close to like having a sherbet or something.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
right.
Sounds like a very sour sorbet, kind of like something. Okay,
But
I'd rather see
Jim,
that.
there are also young foodies now in Manila who are making really exotic ice cream like sapin sapin ice cream,
Mhm.
and then there's with adobo nuggets ice cream. Of course, it all started with the bacon, right?
Yeah, I
Then
made bacon ice cream too.
vanilla, yeah.
Bacon chocolate ice cream.
Well, that could be another venue for Phil-Ams to learn, appreciate um, Filipino cuisine in the cold.
Yeah, I made chocolate chocolate ice cream. So
Chocolate.
with chocolate bits. So that's really easy to do.
Okay. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. I hope to taste your ice cream one of these days.
Sure.
All right.
So um, this is us at the pediatric clinic. These are some of our nurses. One is a um, yeah, one's a nurse practitioner, and then I have some very fond memories of working in the clinic. And this was in South Texas. We did this because this was like casual Fridays,
Mm-hmm.
and what we said was, okay, on Fridays you can wear jeans, uh, if you pay $2, you can wear jeans. So, but all that we pull that money we have it for charity.
So now
So
they
it's
know adobo or
oh yeah. So I would always bring Filipino food to the clinic, and there was and then they would always get a blast when I would bring puto to the clinic because
okay.
they're Mexican. They're like they say it's hilarious when I put the sign out that says like taste our puto.
That's what I'm bringing to you when I see you. And
Oh, awesome.
puto with cocoa sugar and the regular puto. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking forward to that.
All right.
So
Oh,
this was actually our wedding picture. So this is our wedding portrait. This was taken in a
yeah.
studio.
Imagine going all the way circle and then fighting each other thanks to FedEx.
Yep, exactly. And the thing is, like, I don't know, my wife has managed to stay that young in the 25 years, and I have aged horribly.
Wow. No, you both look young. I couldn't believe that you were on your 25th. I thought when you showed your photo, I thought you were just maybe 5 years married or something.
Oh, well, thank
This
you.
is your father?
And this is my father. He's my personal hero.
Uh-huh.
Um, and So a little story about that. So in 1973, he was part of the 10 outstanding young men
Hmm.
for agriculture. So
Okay.
he received that award.
Mhm.
And then 6 years later, his only son will fail agriculture in high school. So I'm like, I think that he was not visibly upset. I think he was maybe kind of laughing, but he figured out like, hey, yeah, you're not gonna follow in my footsteps. You gotta find something else to do.
Okay.
But he was always very supportive of me, and I think the work ethic that I had, I got from him.
All right. That's nice. Okay. So that's all. You should have sent us more photos
I think
about.
I thought I put more, but that's what. Yeah, I thought I sent more. I thought I had like 8 or 7.
Oh, okay. Anyway, we're on our back here. We're on our last few minutes. So
Okay.
maybe before anything, okay, let's both have a bucket list of first and a Filipino culinary bucket list, and then your own personal bucket list where you want to go, or you want to fly, you want to go to SpaceX or something. But first, the Filipino bucket list. You said you had a 10-year plan. We want to join you in that.
Okay.
Yeah. So what would you like to happen? Hopefully earlier. What would you like to happen? Give us some specifics. Like for
Okay.
me, I would like uh, I have been teaching adobo, traditional and jazzed up adobo based on my cookbook to all kinds of nationalities, and maybe it has reached to about 300 of them already. So at least 300 people here in Houston know about adobo. Yeah.
Okay.
But now we gotta move forward.
Yep.
It's us Texans talking to each other now and trying to get that that adobo word or Filipino food word out, especially to the younger ones.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So for me, um, what I plan to do is next year it's going to be a 2-day event, and maybe the year after that have a second one in a different city, or maybe a third one in a different city. Ideally, I would like to have 5 cities and a different one, and have a championship in each city, then have which is like a qualifier. Then
Mm-hmm.
you have a statewide one, right? Or and then eventually, if this can be accomplished in 10, one in every city, one in every major city with a good Filipino population, and have city championships, then regional, then national. That would be ideal.
Well, how
That
can
would
you make
be.
it virtual?
I'm sorry.
How can you make it virtual so you reach more people?
Well, I think that what you do is, especially with I mean with social media, with YouTube, you can do classes. You can do virtual. I mean, it may be possible to do virtual competitions, but there's nothing like being in person.
Uh-huh.
Um, so so I have a lot of ideas in trying to make this work. So it's not just. I think you had touched on this. Well, it doesn't have to be just on-site cooking. It could be recipe contests, right? It could be presentation contests. That
Or
was
just
another.
storytelling,
I'm sorry.
storytelling contest
Sure.
about your food. Like you didn't tell me about your father in Masagana rice, I would not have remembered that.
Mm.
And it was such a good um project.
Yep.
Yeah, that happened.
Yeah, and we used to import rice at that time. We were then exporting rice.
We're back in the same thing, but now
Yeah.
we're our president is serious about planting more rice.
Okay.
Well, we don't have too much time, and I'd like you to invite our audience to the event on the 23rd.
Okay. Yep. So I wanted to invite everybody here who's going to be in the San Antonio area to come to the Adobo Throwdown. It's going to be at the Schertz Civic Center. It's 1400 Schertz Parkway in Schertz, Texas. It's about 20 minutes from San Antonio. It's on Sunday, October 23rd. It starts at 10 o'clock, goes all the way up to 6 o'clock. We have events that are back to back to back. We have an amateur cooking competition for adobo. We have an ube dessert competition, and then
Hmm.
we have our main event is going to be a professional cooking competition of adobo between six of the best restaurants here, and they're
Oh,
going to battle it out. We have celebrity chefs. Uh, our host Nancy Reyes Lumen is one of our judges,
okay, thank you.
and there's five judges. They're going to judge who has the best adobo in San Antonio, and we're
Oh,
going to present that award. We also have local singers. We have local dancers. So it's like back to back to back events.
that's good.
And so it's going to be a wonderful event. It's going to be the first time in this scale. And we're really hoping for a good turnout. And here's the thing that I need to stress is that all the proceeds will go to the Filipino American Chamber of Commerce
Mhm.
and the humanitarian projects.
All
This
right.
is not made at this. I and I keep saying this, but I will not make a single dime out of this. This will all go towards a good cause.
Yeah, and I think it will be a good step to your dream, to our dream.
Yep, I hope so.
Yeah.
And I'm really very hopeful. I think everybody there's a lot of people who are working hard at this.
Yeah.
They're sharing on information. Everybody's been very gracious. All the help I've asked for people have been very gracious. And then the best part is it's a community activity. It's
Uh-huh.
not one person. It is the entire community getting together. So I cannot wait, and I would like to invite everyone.
All right. And so to the Filipino audience, because we replays will be more watched, right? So to the Filipino audience, this interview with Jean is like a message of hope, or a encouragement to Filipino culinarians, Filipino food lovers who are, especially even those who are OFW. We really have to be as energetic as Jean, and many of you who want to push Filipino food and make it happen. And it is happening. It is really happening. The taste is getting into the global gastronomy, and I know that sooner than later, we will all be so. As Jean said, is it pizza now or pancit? Is it lumpia or egg roll? Is it going to be sinigang or tom yum, or are you going to go for hamburger or adobo and things like that? So it's going to happen, Jean, and we want to thank you very much for that, for the effort you do with Adobo Throwdown and the dream. We join you in that, and we will be seeing you. And guys from here in Texas, drive all the way up to San Antonio, and we will see you there. Thank you very much,
All
Jean.
right. Thank you so much, Nancy. Thank you so much for having me here. I want to thank you, Nancy and Anton. Thank you so much. This has been It has been wonderful. Thank you.
Mabuhay. Mabuhay.
Mabuhay.
Thank you.
All right.
Goodbye.
Bye bye.
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 I gotta close this. I don't know how to close it.